fans, thanks for clicking the dreaded D Rose report. I guess we got a new pope, Vince McMahon. That's what it's got on this report. Anyway, hey, Vince McMahon did report. They reported on him that he had a lot of hands-on producing and scripting at last Monday's Raw in Indianapolis. This is the first week since Eric. I said something about this last week. Eric Pentowski, his departure. It was said he really wasn't missed, and it was like he was never there. Pentowski. What likely led to Pentowski's departure was having CM Punk, Randy Orton, Sheamus, Big Show compete in a fatal four-way 2 weeks ago to earn the right to face Undertaker at WrestleMania 29. Everyone felt that the fatal four-way was a bad idea, and people told Pentowski that it was a bad idea, but he just kind of blew them off and went with it. No word yet why, Vince approved it for TV, though. Anyway, WWE officials specifically scripted John Cena. I don't know if you missed him or not. I can't believe Raw did any ratings at all with John Cena not on Raw. But they did. They went with it. They scripted him not to appear on Raw and from Indianapolis because WWE Rock, the champion, wasn't there. Couldn't be there. They didn't want to bring attention to the fact that the WWE champion wasn't there on the road to WrestleMania 29, because everybody should be there for being on the road. So they went against the idea of having Cena come out and cut a in-ring promo, because The Rock would have looked weak and being there, not being there to respond to it. So they didn't want to put it out there that The Rock was in South Korea at the G.I. Joe 2 movie premiere. But the decision was made just to air the video package for their match. Oh, by the way, a friend of mine that was at the wrestling match also said that he said it seen in the back old Ric Flair. He was there, but they didn't use him. And Cena was there also, but of course they didn't use him. Hey, WWE taped the following matches for the main event. Big Show taking on Del Rio, Usos taking on Slater and McIntyre, and Gabriel taking on Wade Barrett. And taped also was Tensai and Brodus Clay taking on Darren Young, Titus O'Neil. They taped that last night in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Anyway, that's going to be airing on Saturday Morning Slam. Well, Daniel Bryant was on commentary. The Shield versus Randy Orton, Sheamus, and Ryback. It was announced at tonight's, last night's SmackDown taping that's going to be going on for WrestleMania 29 pay-per-view. The updated card is, do you think they're going to be doing over 1 million pay-per-views this year? They probably will with The Rock and Lesnar being there. But anyway, title match going to be Cena versus The Rock. World Heavyweight title match, Swagger versus Del Rio. Stipulations to be announced. Match is Lesnar taking on Triple H. CM Punk versus The Undertaker for the streak. Rollins, Ambrose, and Reigns taking on Sheamus, Ryback, and Randy Orton. Kind of odd that they couldn't get a good storyline for Ryback this year to be at WrestleMania, and at his own match. Don't know if he could draw, pay-per-view buys. I mean, being like a main event. He's just not there personality-wise yet. And who haven't we seen for a while, other than the injured people? David Otunga. But if you do want to see him, he's going to be on the ET network, 106 and Park today. And he's going to be talking about the WWE Studios movie, The Call. Not sure whether The Call is actually them just distributing the thing, or whether they had anything to do with it. I'm not sure, but I think it's going to do fairly good at the box office. And Roman Reigns, he's currently in Superstar Spotlight on WWE website, and Lifetime premiere of their new TV show, The Preacher's Daughter, last night at 10 p.m. The show featured wrestling legend and preacher Nikita Koloff and his wife Victoria and their daughter Kolby. Koloff's wrestling past was brought up, and they did show a few of the photos of him as a pro wrestler. A dark match before last night's TV taping in Fort Wayne saw Ted DiBiase defeat Bray Wyatt. Dark main event after last night's taping saw Randy Orton, Sheamus, and Ryback hit their finishers to end the show on the Shield. And Wrestling World, by the way, lost two personalities on this date. In 2007, WWE Hall of Famer Arnold Scaglin, he died at the age of 82 years old, and this is just unfortunate stuff. I hate to hear stuff like this. But anyway, 2009, one-time WWF Intercontinental Champion Drew Martin, or Test, he died at just the age of 33 years old. But just a little synopsis here thing of it. Shortly after the 2007 Royal Rumble, Martin kind of inexplicably just disappeared from WWE programming, though it was later confirmed that he had violated the wellness policy. But less than a week after that announcement, Martin either released or asked for his release, depending on who you talk to, I guess, from his WWE contract. Then he moved over to TNA, but didn't last there long either, partly due to the concerns over his physical size in the wake of the steroid scandal that was going on. After a farewell tour of Europe, and I believe on that tour there was a lot of ex-WWE stars on that, Martin announced his retirement in early 2008. Well, police were called to Martin's home after a concerned neighbor reported seeing him motionless for several hours, and his death was ruled an accidental overdose of Oxycontin, or oxycodone, whichever you want to call it. And TNA's Vice President of Public Relations, Jules Wortman, has been let go from the company, according to PWI Insider, and the departure comes just weeks after another high-ranking member of TNA's PR team, Chris Thomas, left as well. What's going on? Is there a mutiny? TNA announced that tickets are going on sale and are available for Thursday's Impact taping up in Chicago. Eric Bischoff noted on Twitter that he's going to be visiting TNA's Knockout Terra's pizza restaurant in Chicago today. The following matches have been announced for TNA's April 5th WrestleMania weekend live event from Westbury, Long Island. Sting and Jeff Hardy taking on, it's the Dudley Boys, Bully Ray and Devon. Bobby Roode versus James Storm. It's going to be a New York street fight, and which is nothing unusual there. Christopher Daniels taking on Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle taking on Wes Briscoe, and Joseph Parks taking on Robbie E for some unknown reason. And Hulk Hogan's going to be there to announce a stipulation for the tag team main event at that show. And it's noted that Drew McIntyre, I mentioned this the other day, suffered an injury during a Raw segment with Mark Henry and Ryback on Monday. Drew responded to those reports via his Twitter. He says, "Come on, Net." He says, "I'm a real pro wrestler and a Celtic. Two giant lummoxes may put me down hard, but I'll drag my ass back up and fight." So he didn't say whether he was hurt or not, but don't act like you are if you're not. Hey, he's celebrating Mae Young's 90th birthday yesterday. WWE's website had a nice piece up on her career and stuff. And Stephanie McMahon was asked on Twitter if Mae is someone she looks up to, and Stephanie replies, "Yes, Mae is a pioneer for women in any industry. She is the toughest person I know." And Chris Jericho wrestled Jack Swagger in a main event at last night's SmackDown taping, and he tweeted the following after the match. He says, "Had a great match in Fort Wayne. Real Jack Swagger for this weekend's SmackDown. Hard-hitting, fast-paced, and stiff. Worth checking it out." And former TNA Knockout winner and reign, Peyton Banks, is her name. They got there to the list of women who have turned down TNA's offer to return for an upcoming all-knockout pay-per-view taping. Noted before, Roxy, Sarita, Tracy Brooks, Angelina Love, and Awesome Kong also turned down the company to return that night. And why? We got another mutiny going on? Are they not paying? Maybe they're not paying enough. I don't know. Kind of slim pickings there. Hey, and should they do that all knockout pay-per-view? You think it'll go over good? They used to be the highest rated segment of the 2 hours on TNA. I don't know how the pay-per-view will go. All right, TNA plans to place plans in place to bring down the cage roof for a Lethal Lockdown match last Sunday, but during rehearsals, something malfunctioned with the mechanism that lowers the roof, and they had to do away with the plan. This is why Sting brought weapons down to the ring. Used to have, hanging all over the place. You had to get up and get them. Internally, the feeling was that the lockdown wasn't a total hit, but saved by a big angle with Bully Ray and Aces and Eights, to end the thing. And there was talk of having Ray and Devon hit a 3D on Jeff Hardy to end the match, but officials wanted to focus more on Ray, not to mention reunion of a Team 3D. So that's why that didn't happen. And people within TNA insisted there's no plants in the crowd. There's a few weeds out there, but no plants. So the trash throwing deal at TNA's Lockdown pay-per-view was actually, they said, just spontaneous. And this would have been a major liability for the company if a fan was hurt, during something that TNA had planned. Bully Ray told officials backstage that the reaction, that's the reaction they wanted from the crowd, though, then he could get them, he was glad he could get them to that point where they were just furious. And one thing wrestlers in TNA aren't happy with right now is the new pay scale. Uh-oh. Did I hit a nail on the head on the Knockout pay-per-view? By their contracts, TNA talent gets paid by the date. Now that the company is starting to air Impact Live and taping episode on Thursday nights, wrestlers are only getting paid for one night instead of 2 nights for 2 tapings. Monday, WWE officials discussed having Dolph Ziggler and Langston take on Kane and Bryan for the tag team titles at WrestleMania 29. Kind of talked about this is why Langston kind of attacked Daniel Bryan, I guess, the other day. And by what happened to SmackDown taping last night, it looks like they're going to be moving forward with this plan, so be ready. Many people backstage at Raw were talking about WWE Champion The Rock not being there, and several of The Rock's co-workers were upset with the fact that he wasn't, he's not going to be in attendance for the second, or for 2 of the last 4 shows going into WrestleMania 29. There's already some resentment over him being back for WrestleMania main event anyway. But him not being there each week isn't helping things. But hey, the guy's got to make movies and make millions and millions. Not just a few million from this thing. I think I looked on website, he had like 10 movies that was coming out in the next year and a half. What can you say? Except I wish I was The Rock for a while. Hey, thanks for clicking, you guys. I gotta go.